Story number 1. Don't worry if it's quick.
The Candle and the Sun. A small candle looked up at the bright sun and said, "You are so powerful and I am nothing." The sun smiled and replied, "But I cannot shine at night. That's your time to glow." The candle realized everyone has their moment to bring light, no matter how small. The end.
Story number 2. Don't worry if it's quick.
Story number 2, The Gift of the Magi, by O. Henry, a very famous short story for intermediate learners. Della and Jim were a young married couple who loved each other very much but were very poor. Christmas was coming, and Della wanted to buy Jim a special gift. She only had $1.87. Della had beautiful long hair, and Jim had a gold pocket watch, their most precious things. To buy Jim's gift, Della sold her hair to a wig maker for $20. She bought a fine chain for Jim's watch. That evening, Jim came home and was shocked to see her short hair. He smiled sadly and gave her his gift, beautiful combs for her hair. Then Della realized he had sold his watch to buy them. They both laughed and cried at the same time.
Don't worry if it's quick.
Though their gifts were useless now, their love was the greatest gift of all. The end.
Story number 3. Don't worry if it's quick.
Story number 3, The Necklace, by Guy de Maupassant, a world-famous short story for intermediate learners. Matilda was a young woman who dreamed of a rich and elegant life. She was married to a simple clerk and often felt unhappy with her modest home. One day, her husband brought her an invitation to a fancy party. She cried, "I have nothing beautiful to wear." So she borrowed a diamond necklace from her rich friend, Madame Forestier. At the party, Matilda looked stunning. Everyone admired her beauty and charm. But when she came home, she realized the necklace was gone. Panicked, she and her husband searched everywhere, but they couldn't find it. They decided to replace it with another one that looked the same. It cost them all their savings and many years of debt. After 10 long years of hard work and poverty, Matilda finally met Madame Forestier again and told her the truth. Her friend was shocked and said, "Oh, my dear, my necklace was fake. It was worth only a few hundred francs."
Story number 4. Don't worry if it's quick.
Sue and Johnsy were two young artists living together in New York. One winter, Johnsy became very sick with pneumonia. She lost hope and kept looking out the window at an old ivy vine. She said softly, "When the last leaf falls, I will die." Sue told their old neighbor Berman about it. He was a poor painter who always said he would one day paint a masterpiece. That night a strong storm came. Johnsy thought all the leaves would fall, but in the morning, one green leaf was still there. Seeing it, Johnsy felt hope again and started to get better. A few days later, Sue told her that Berman had died of pneumonia. The leaf outside wasn't real. He had painted it during the storm. The end.
Story number 5. Don't worry if it's quick.
High above the city stood a statue of the Happy Prince. He was covered with gold leaves and had jewels for eyes. Everyone admired him, but no one knew that inside his heart was made of lead, and he could see the sadness of the poor people below. One day, a little swallow stopped at the statue to rest. The prince asked him, "Please take the ruby from my sword to help a poor woman who needs food for her sick child." The swallow obeyed. Each day, the prince asked the bird to take more gold and jewels to help others, a writer, a beggar, and hungry children. Soon the prince had no gold left, and the swallow grew weak from the cold. Winter came, and the swallow died at the prince's feet. When the townspeople saw the dull statue, they took it down, not knowing the love and kindness it had given. But in heaven, God said, "Bring me the two most precious things in the city, the heart of the happy prince and the dead bird." The end.
Story number 6. Don't worry if it's quick.
One day, a mighty lion was sleeping in the forest. A tiny mouse ran over his paw, and the lion woke up angrily. He caught the mouse with his big claws. The mouse trembled and said, "Please, don't eat me. Maybe one day I can help you." The lion laughed at the idea of such a small creature helping him, but he let the mouse go. A few days later, the lion was caught in a hunter's net. He roared loudly, but no one came. Soon the little mouse heard his cries and ran to help. With his small, sharp teeth, he bit through the ropes and set the lion free. The lion smiled and said, "You were right, little friend. Even the smallest creature can be a great help."
Story number 7. Don't worry if it's quick.
Story number 7, The Tortoise and the Hare, by Aesop, one of the most famous fables ever told. One day, a proud hare laughed at a slow-moving tortoise. "You'll never get anywhere with that speed," he said. The tortoise calmly replied, "I may be slow, but I can still beat you in a race." The hare burst out laughing, but agreed to the challenge. As the race began, the hare ran far ahead, and seeing how slow the tortoise was, decided to take a nap under a tree. Meanwhile, the tortoise kept moving, slowly but steadily, one step at a time. When the hare finally woke up, he was shocked to see the tortoise near the finish line. The hare ran as fast as he could, but it was too late. The tortoise had already won.
Story number 8.
One bright summer day, a cheerful grasshopper sat in the field singing and enjoying the warm sun. Nearby, an ant worked hard, carrying grain after grain to store for the coming winter. "Why don't you come and sing with me?" said the grasshopper. "There's plenty of food and sunshine." The ant replied, "I'm saving food for the winter. You should do the same before it's too late." But the grasshopper only laughed and kept singing. Months passed, and soon the cold winter arrived. The ground was covered with snow, and there was no food to be found. The grasshopper was hungry and freezing. He remembered the ant and went to her house to ask for help. The ant opened the door, warm and comfortable inside, surrounded by her stored food. The grasshopper begged, "Please, let me eat something." The ant looked at him kindly but said, "I worked all summer while you sang. Now you must learn to plan ahead." The grasshopper left sadly, realizing the truth of her words.
Story number 9.
King Midas was a rich and powerful man, but his heart was never satisfied. He loved gold more than anything and believed it was the key to happiness. One day, the god Dionysus offered to grant him one wish. Without hesitation, Midas wished that everything he touched would turn to gold. The next morning, his dream came true. His bed, his table, and even the flowers in his garden turned to shining gold. At first, he laughed with delight, proud of his power. But soon, joy turned to fear when he found that his food and drink turned to gold the moment he touched them. His hunger and thirst grew unbearable. Then his beloved daughter ran to embrace him, and to his horror, she turned into a golden statue. Midas finally understood the curse of his greed. He begged Dionysus to take the gift away, and the god told him to wash in the river Pactolus. As soon as he did, the magic disappeared, and his daughter came back to life. From that day, Midas knew that love and life were far more precious than gold.
Story number 10. Don't worry if it's quick.
On a warm summer day, a mother duck sat on her eggs by the pond. One by one they hatched, and out came fluffy yellow ducklings, except for one. The last one was large, gray, and clumsy. The other ducklings laughed at him and called him ugly. Even the farm animals teased and chased him away. Heartbroken, the little duckling left home and wandered alone through cold days and dark nights, dreaming of finding a place where he belonged. Winter came, and he nearly froze to death in the snow. When spring returned, he saw beautiful white swans gliding across the water. He wished he could be like them. Slowly, he bent down to see his reflection and gasped. He was no longer an ugly duckling, but a graceful white swan. The same animals that had once mocked him now admired his beauty. He spread his wings and flew joyfully into the bright sky, finally proud of who he was. The end.
Story number 11.
There once was an old owl who lived in a tall oak tree. Every day he watched the world around him, the children playing, the animals running, and the people arguing. At first, the owl used to talk a lot and give his opinions on everything he saw. But as the years passed, he began to speak less and listen more. He noticed that when he stayed quiet, he learned many things, how people's words often hid their true feelings, and how silence could reveal more than noise. Soon, all the other animals came to respect him for his wisdom and calm advice. They began calling him the wise old owl. One evening, a young bird asked, "How did you become so wise?" The owl smiled and said softly, "By keeping my eyes open, my ears sharp, and my mouth closed." The end.
Story number 12.
There once was a young shepherd boy who watched over a flock of sheep near his village. He often got bored while sitting alone on the hill, so one day, just for fun, he shouted, "Wolf! Wolf! The wolf is chasing the sheep!" The villagers ran up the hill to help him, but when they arrived, there was no wolf. The boy laughed and said, "I was only joking." A few days later, he did it again. "Wolf! Wolf!" he cried, and again the villagers came running, only to find no wolf. They were angry and warned him not to lie again. Then one evening, a real wolf came. The boy screamed, "Wolf, please help me!" But no one believed him this time, and no one came. The wolf attacked the flock, and the boy learned a painful lesson. The end.